Hello, are you there?
I'm here.
He's here. I'm here. We're here. Hopefully you're here too. You're watching this right now. This is Bass Podcast, hangout, kind of a little bit of everything. My name is Mike Ippersiel, and I'm the founder of BassGuitarRocks.com. And with me on the other end over there, if he moves or says something, say something.
Hi,
If he says something, there
hi
he goes.
everybody.
See, the
I'm
camera
here.
switches. So over there is Jason Raso, and he's a accomplished bassist in his own right with a slew of his own records out there. And we're putting together this show, and it's basically going to be all about um, the core concept is bass, business, marketing, and lifestyle. So pretty much anything that fits under those categories is what we're going to be talking about. Becoming a better bass player, and what I kind of really feel is lacking out there is just kind of dealing with the elephant, the pink elephant in the room that nobody wants to talk about, which is the business side of it, and actually making money, so that way you can keep making music and not have to either have to give it up and get a day job or whatever. And I kind of mentioned this concept here to Jason a while back. We're finally getting around to doing it now, but we're both. What I think is going to be interesting is that Jason and I have both taken some different approaches with playing bass, and I think it'll be interesting to our different takes on things, and we both bring something different to the party here. And so, Jason, how about I guess you should introduce yourself now and tell everybody a little bit about yourself, and we'll go from there.
Okay. Well, I've been playing bass for almost 25 years now. Started putting my own albums out in probably 2001, and I've been very lucky to be doing this for a living for quite a while now, and still love playing, and I'm gonna, God willing, keep doing it, and actually have no other skills, Mike. So this is it. But no, I teach a lot here in Guelph. Try to gig as much as possible. Put albums out every couple of years, and it's been a fun ride so far.
Okay, and so basically, on my side of things is I basically I'm sort of I mentioned it earlier, recovering bass player, and that I'm not currently active, not currently playing. I've kind of put my career, so to speak, on hold, and pursued some other avenues. So I bring sort of a little bit of a different perspective there. That's part of the reason why I feel pretty strongly about you know focusing on the business end of things too, because when I was in a band for, I started playing when I was 15, and got into a band with my brother and a close friend, and we stayed together for years and years and years and put out a bunch of albums and had a couple of little breaks in between, but we basically, I mean, what ended up happening was I never really thought, like, never really worried too much about money. I always wanted to just make music, and
Right.
if my bills were paid and I was making music, then that was good enough for me. And as long as I had credit cards and stuff, and I could throw my new bass or my new piece of gear on there and slowly work it off after a year or so, then all was good. But then basically kind of life happened, and got married, had a house, and had a couple of kids, and kind of realized, especially for me with kid number two, that you know, I had to kind of get serious about making money, and I basically had to put my music's on hold and kind of find a second job. So um, that, because I had never really, I mean, this is, I'm not trying to make a sob story here or anything, but it was just, you know, the choice that I had made up until that point, and basically kind of going out of my way almost to not care about money, you know, and but you kind of realize it's kind of like saying, you know, well, I don't care about air, and well, like, see how long you go without, you know, breathing, you know, like it's easy to say you don't care about air until you don't have any, and then you realize how much you really do care about air. So,
Yeah.
so that's kind of what I wanted to bring to this is just kind of have instead of tiptoeing around the subject of making money and sort of all the baggage that a lot of people have about, well, if you consciously think about money, then you're trying to sell out, or whatever it is, you know. I think it's much better to have, you know, I've done it a few different ways where, you know, I've played music and made absolutely no money at all, and then I've done sort of the opposite where we kind of racked up a bunch of kind of band debt, and then, you know, booked like a bunch of cover shows to try to pay off this debt. And of course, the band debt was us recording like our original music and putting out a CD, and then we were kind of funding that with cover shows and of course, and then, you know, for doing our cover shows and different things, we you know, we decided to invest in stuff like, you know, a powered mixer and different things like this, so that we weren't always renting. So
Right.
we kind of spent a bunch of money, and then so it kind of, I've been in that situation too, where it's like, okay, well, you got some money coming in, but you kind of got all this debt, and you're almost booking shows just because it's like, well, we can get $300 here or there that we can then put down against this like debt that we have, and it kind of takes some of the fun out the fun out of it, because well, it's work, and it's I guess the reason for doing it has it's not just about having fun or expressing yourself at that point. So
Right.
but yeah, so I just think that if I had basically been a little bit more into the money end of things, and then I probably wouldn't have. I could probably have built myself up to the point where I didn't have to suddenly go cold turkey and kind of drop everything and take on a second job and try to make things work that way.
Right.
So I don't, again, like, I'm not trying to say this is a sob story or anything like that. I've always kind of looked at it as, you know, I've had to make certain choices because of previous choices I'd made, and then I just always thought that if I can at least, you know, share what I learned by, you know, being the guy that had to stop doing music for a time, then I think, you know, if I can help people out that way, then that's a really positive thing, and, you know, maybe get some people thinking of them in terms of money, maybe a little bit, you know, before it becomes a problem, before
Right.
they have to make a bigger decision, or put things on hold, or sell their gear or whatever. You know, you don't want it to have to come to that, right? So
Right.
anyway.
No, for sure. I mean, it's a very important element, especially if you know you're going to try to make a living in this industry. It's you know, making albums is very expensive, and you know, gear is expensive, and so you know, even just getting to the gig, sometimes, you know, you factor in your gas money and all that stuff, and you know, meals, and to go on a tour and stuff. It's it all adds up. So if you're not on top of that, you can lose a lot of money in a hurry. And
Yeah, yeah.
for sure. And you know, so you know, even early on in my career, even though I was teaching and gigging, I always had a part-time job, you know, just to make sure that I wasn't getting out of control, and you know, doing something really stupid, or um, but as it went on, I've been able to kind of stick to music, but I still teach a lot, and that's my kind of primary source of income for sure. So if you don't keep an eye on it, it can get out of control, and before you know it, like you said, I'm married now and have a daughter, so it becomes even more important to make sure that your finances are under control.
Yeah, so that'll definitely be a reoccurring theme on the show, and obviously we're going to be talking about things to do with making yourself a better bass player. So it's there's always more to learn. There's always new techniques. There's always ways to improve, and besides, I think you'll have some good stuff to share, since this is what you do, and you teach students, and it's going to be interesting to talk about how you learn how to play bass too. I know some of it already, but I think it's really interesting. I definitely can see us doing an episode on learning how to play bass, or taking bass lessons and all that stuff. So that'll be really good. And I guess we'll just talk a little bit. I feel like I've been doing too much talking here, but just talk a little bit about we'll get you to talk about the music that you do, and the name of your band and your website and all that kind of stuff.
Well, the name of the band is the Jason Raso Quartet. We just released our newest album, which is called Slingshot. It came out, I guess, just in the summer, and we've been doing shows for that. In terms of our website, it's jasonrasomusic.com, and it's jazz, funk, I guess. I'm always at a loss for exactly how to describe it, but there's some Latin in there. There's some rock. There's some fusion-y kind of stuff. Big Jocko fan, big Stanley Clarke fan, Marcus Miller, Miles, my hope is that it's all shows up in there, so that it's not just one thing. And I wanted to make sure that I had a band that had really good musicians and that everyone got to play. So it's not an hour and a half bass solo every night. And and I've been very lucky to do that. With great players, and it's been a lot of fun.
Have you heard that joke about the guy in the jungle with the beating drums in the background? Have you heard that joke?
No.
No? So there's a guy in the jungle, and he's there's like these tribal drums that are going way back in the background, and he's like, oh, what's going on, or something like that, and he's got a tour guide with him, and he says, don't worry, like as long as the drums keep going, we're safe. So they keep going. They're going for hours and hours through the jungle, and the drums are beating the whole time and stuff. And then suddenly the drums stop. And then the guy goes to the tour guide. He goes, uh-oh, now what? He goes, oh, bass solo. So anyway.
Exactly. You don't need that all night.
Making fun of our own expense here, but yeah. So actually, a piano teacher taught me that. I guess that joke when my son was taking piano lessons. So it's like, oh, you're a bass player, eh? Do you know this joke?
I heard a good bass player joke this week. It was what do you call a beautiful woman on a bass player's arm? A tattoo.
Oh, that's a good one. I haven't heard that one. There was another joke. There was what can a pizza do that a musician can't do? You know that one?
Yeah, feed a family of four.
Yeah. What do you call a musician without a girlfriend?
Homeless.
Yeah, you got that one too.
That's a good one, yeah.
Oh, there was another one too. It wasn't I? I don't think my brother's a drummer, and it wasn't all that good. It just was a drummer joke, so it was funny to anyone who's not a drummer. So it was just something like, well, it just went something like, what do you call a guy who hangs around with a band? A drummer, something like that. So then there's what's that?
There you go.
Yeah,
Comic value on top of it.
yeah. So yeah, there's wisdom, there's jokes, anything that applies. So yeah, so the we were talking earlier, and the other few more things that we can say about you is that you're also a Spectre endorsed artist, and
Yes.
you also have a column, a blog that you're doing for Canadian Musician. So do you want to talk a little bit about some of that stuff?
Yeah, Canadian Musician's been fun. The blog is called Jaywalking. It's on CanadianMusician.com, and I was just approached by Andrew King, the editor at Canadian Musician. I had done a couple columns for the magazine last year, just a few lessons. And when they started up the blog, he asked me if I would be interested in doing the bass blog, and I jumped at the chance. And it's been just bass tips here and there, some show reviews. And then I thought it would be kind of fun to interview some Canadian bass players, especially. And so we've done that. We've interviewed Alain Caron and Rich Brown and Chris Terry from New York, or from BC, who's living in New York. And but we've also interviewed Doug Wimbish and most recently Tony Gray, who's a Fodera guy. He's actually John McLaughlin's, the guitar player's nephew, I believe, and he's a real cool guy. And so it's been a fun column for sure. And in terms of the Spectre, I've been a Spectre player now, kind of on and off for probably 10 years, and I guess 3 or 4 years ago, I was lucky enough to become a Spectre artist here in Canada. So PJ and Stuart over at Spectre have been great to me, and right now I'm playing one of their Coda 4-strings, which is kind of a jazz bass style, and I just love it. It's a great bass, and I've been using that for most of my gigs, and got a few other basses kicking around, Spectre 5-string, and a new Coda fretless as well. So it's been a great relationship, and I can't say enough good things about Spectre.
Spectre's got your bases covered there. You got a 5-string, 4-string, fretless.
Yeah, they just make great basses, and I'm playing all their US stuff, and it's great to have them, especially with them helping me out. It's been great.
Yeah, and earlier we were talking about what was the very first Spectre bass that you'd seen, or what was the first musician or band that you saw a Spectre bass in?
I think it was Gene Simmons, and one of those terrible '80s Kiss videos. But also, I mentioned before, I think maybe Sting. I seem to recall him using a white NS in maybe the Synchronicity tour. But so I remember seeing them early, and then seeing them again in Bass Player magazine, and then finally I saw them at the MEAC trade show in Toronto one year, and that's when I bought my first one, and I've been using Spectre basses ever since.
My first time I saw Spectre, like really noticed it, was Jason Newsted with Metallica. and he was using, he had like 7 or 8 Specters, I think, for the Black album. And I remember reading at the time that he was so set on that like Spectre sound at the time that I think he bought like 6 or 7 more of them and just kind of put them into storage or something. Like I don't know. He's got, I don't know how many basses he's got now. Like he's switched over to Sadowski basses, but
Right.
yeah. So I saw Spectre and I was like, oh, what's this Spectre all about? And that was. I mean, back then, bass player was around, but I think they weren't coming out monthly. They were coming out like, I don't know, every 2 months or 3 months or something.
Yep.
So you should know you're a long time subscriber, right?
I've been a subscriber since the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's how I learned how to play. So was through Bass Player magazines. And yeah, originally it was every other month, I think. And it's been a good resource for me.
So do you have that very first issue with Geddy Lee on the cover?
Oh yeah.
Wasn't that the first one?
That was the first one, and that was, I think, before they even became.
That was just like a test issue kind of thing.
Like a one-off thing, because I think they were. Well, I guess they still are associated with Guitar Player magazine, but I still have that one, and I think the first actual issue was the one with Billy Sheehan on the cover, and I still remember my brother bringing that one home for me and he's saying, "Look at this! There's a magazine for bass players." I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
Thank God.
Yeah, that's funny because that coincided around pretty close to. I mean, that was pretty close to the time I started playing bass, because I got my first bass in. I think it was December '89. I think it was just, or it was either '89 or it was '90. I'm not sure which one it was. It was just before the GST came in. So it was either GST came in at '90 or it came in at '91. So maybe I might be off by a bit. I might be off by a year, but yeah. So I just remember I saw a couple issues before I actually bought one. I think I remember seeing the one with Flea, and he's got it kind of across his shoulders, the bass or something like that.
Yep.
And obviously, I mean, there was some really good music coming out at that time. That was the Blood Sugar Sex Magic album with the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and then the Metallica Black album came out, and so Jason Newsted was on the cover. And I remember seeing that one, but I didn't get it, and then it's like I thought I would try to get it later, and then it was gone. I lived in a pretty small town back then, and when
I first got the first issue, it never even occurred to me that there would be more. So I thought it was like they made one magazine. That was it.
That's it. Everything that needs to be said about bass guitar can be said in one thing.
I read it over and over again, and I was in a guitar shop in downtown Guelph, and they had back issues, and I couldn't believe it. I was like, they made more. They made more of these magazines. I bought them all. I had I think Will Lee was on the cover of one, Sting, Jocko was the first time I'd ever heard of Jocko. And it's funny, the Metallica tie-in for me for Jocko is I went to see Metallica on the Black album tour, which would have been, what, 91 maybe?
Yeah, 91. Well, that tour went for about 5 years, so it depends
yeah,
on...
That's true. So,
sometime between 91 and 94 or something like that, they were touring for that album.
It was sometime in that stretch. And I had read about Jocko, and when we went down to the show, I went into the big HMV in Toronto. I had my Metallica t-shirt on and the big hair, and went up to the jazz section and asked the guy for Jaco Pastorius, and he just looked at me like, "Why are you even in here?" And that's when I bought the Jaco album. So it all comes around.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny because the other kind of connection we have there is like I went to school for journalism and as sort of my fallback for music is I figured, well, if I wasn't able to make a living as a musician, then the next coolest thing would be to talk to the people who, the people the musicians that inspired me. So I kind of went that way with journalism, but now you're and I did get a chance to interview some of my favorite musicians and stuff, and that's really cool. I did end up I did end up interviewing Jason Newsted, which was a big deal for me, and subsequently, unfortunately, that it was completely butchered by the editor of the publication I was working for at the time. But yeah, so it was a big deal for me because I was you have this sort of childhood idol that you get to talk to, and it's like you have all this pressure that, well, you have to get a full art. You got to talk to this guy, but you got to make a full article out of it. This was a cover story, so it was gonna, it had to be X number of words, and it had, it has to be interesting and good and all this stuff. And I was really impressed that I felt like I kind of became a professional at that point, because I was able to kind of suppress some of my inner fanboy and actually kind of do the interview, and actually a few times I actually managed to squeeze in an extra question or two and get him to keep talking, because like a couple times he was almost about to end the interview and I just slipped in another question, and then he talked for like another 3 or 4 minutes. So I was pretty happy about that. And then I did ask at the very end. I was like, okay, well, I can't hold it back anymore. I just said, is there any way I can meet you? And so it did turn out that I got to go backstage and meet him, and my brother was there with me, so I've got eyewitness that it did happen, because he took a picture of me with Jason Newsted, and of course it never turned out. So somewhere there's a negative, a film negative with me and Jason Newsted on it, but I don't know. Maybe one day I'll be able to find it and resurrect it somehow, but. Anyway, so that was the first part of that story, was actually meeting him, interviewing him. That was really cool and all that. But then when it came time to actually write the story, like I poured my heart and soul into it, tried to come up with a really good angle for it, a good headline and everything for it, and, went to turn it in to the editor. And I don't even think I met this guy face to face, which was kind of weird. I don't know, I can't remember if I just emailed it in or something like this, and then all I know is that finally it hit the stands. Here's my my moment of glory here. I've got to interview my childhood hero. It's on its cover story, all this stuff, and I pick it up and it's like, oh my God, the guy misspelled Metallica, put 2 T's in Metallica repeatedly in the article. He took direct quote. He took at least one, maybe more than one, direct quotation from Jason Newsted and took the quotes off, so it looked like basically I was just writing this. It wasn't, so I was just like, terrible. I mean, you couldn't, and then my name's on it, of course. So now it looks like anyone who reads this goes, oh, who's this? This Mike guy doesn't even know how to spell Metallica, So, because nobody ever thinks it's the editor of the magazine that would screw something up. It has to be the writer, right? So, yeah. So anyway, it's So that was my, I guess my fractured fairy tale of meeting. I did get to meet Jason Newsted, but doing the interview and doing the interview with him, and then So I mean, but the thing is, I still have the interview. So and I think, God knows, somewhere I think I actually printed off my original version of the story. So I mean, I still do. I guess one of these days I'll print it up there just for the heck of it, since I do have my own site. Yeah. So yeah, that was that. But you're also now basically segueing back to you, is that you're interviewing people with your bass players with your jaywalking column for
Yeah, it's been
bass
fun.
player.
It's
Canadian musician. I
yeah,
meant to say.
yeah. It's been good. We just like a month or two ago, we interviewed. I was able to bring a photographer to the Living Color concert, so we met up with Doug Wimbish, and what a smoking bass player he is, my God! And he
You must have
also,
got a shot of his pedal board.
oh yeah, the pedal board is gigantic. And he's also a Spectre guy, so he was super nice. He sat with us for quite a while and answered all my questions, and it's been great. It's something that I never really anticipated getting into, but since we started it, I've had a blast with it, and we'll keep going with it as long as a Canadian musician will have me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so
I have no problems with the editor, none.
well, that's good. That's good. Maybe he and I should talk. Maybe I can. It'd be good to have somebody who doesn't actually put spelling mistakes into your work, and then leave your name on it.
That's right.
Yeah, so we'll include we'll put a link once we get this all polished up and figured out. We'll have some links there. We'll put a link to your site. We'll put a link over to the jaywalking column, and yeah, maybe we'll just have like a plug away section of the show because you were talking about
Shameless self promotion.
Some clothing. You were talking about some clothing earlier. Your shirt there.
Basswear.
Yeah. So
keep it low and funky.
Is that an American company or is it
American
Canadian?
company? Is a great guy named Kerry Lathan. He runs it, and sell really cool bass clef shirts, and they keep it low and funky. And I think there's even a female shirt that's like something like "I'm sleeping with the bass player." It's a pretty cool company, and Kerry was nice enough to send me some T-shirts. So.
Do they do like jewelry as well, or like?
I don't think so. I think it's just like hats and shirts and stuff. But
that's cool.
Maybe jewelry at some point. I don't know. I'll have to talk to
him. Yeah. So I guess see, this is kind of blurring together because we had a previous conversation before we got our hangout working here properly. So I'm trying to think if there was if I did talk a little bit at the start here about what we're kind of aiming to do, and that we're going to talk about obviously bass. So anything that has to do with the instrument. I'm sure we'll talk about gear. We'll talk about learning, practicing, performance type stuff, as well as the business end of things. So just going into this like actually sort of with the intention to make money and how to go about doing that, and then sort of the marketing side of it, which is obviously if people don't know you exist, then they can't like your music and they can't buy your music. So the marketing is obviously a pretty important thing to do, and then sort of lifestyle is sort of just a catch-all. I mean, it's to me it's going to grab everything from just sort of even the health side of being a bass player. Like, what can you do to stay healthy, to warming up properly? I mean, I guess that sort of dovetails with just the bass, learning the bass lessons, but everything from like how to eat, how to rest and take care of yourself, as a bass player, so that you can bring your most to the performance, and as well as it's just again tying into the money side of it, just maybe the lifestyle, like having the lifestyle of being a full-time musician, and what does that involve. And obviously it does involve it involves the bass, it involves business, it involves marketing to be able to have that lifestyle. So it's kind of I think the popular phrase these days is they're calling it lifestyle design. So basically, just planning the life that you want to live as opposed to just whatever happens kind of thing. So, so I think that kind of sums up everything. And as we do more of these episodes, the things will open up and we can eventually have some guests. I mean, I think it'd be really cool to have some famous bass players, or it doesn't have to be just famous people, but I think anyone that anyone's basically fair game if they're doing something noteworthy with the bass, whether it's as an artist or as even like a bass manufacturer or bass equipment, all that kind of stuff. Even like a noteworthy retail, store or something like that. It's all out there. And I mean, these guys are, if it's sort of, if you meet somebody that builds basses or somebody that owns a retail store that sell like a bass only type store, chances are they're doing it because they love the instrument and they probably play it. They may not play it professionally, but they've, for whatever reason, they've decided to go that route to make a living as a bass builder, as a retail store instead. So, but it's all about the bass. So that's all fair game as far as I'm concerned.
For sure.
Yeah,
I think it's a great idea.
Okay, well, the other thing too is we want to have like a weekly sort of bass track for people to check out. And you had an idea, you had a song you wanted to recommend to kick it off. And what we'll do is we'll link it up with this. We'll do a playlist, so we'll set this up once it's on YouTube and connect it, so that way once you're done watching this, if you watch the playlist version, you'll see the song right afterwards, so that way you don't have to go hunting and looking for it or ripping it off some torrent site or something like that. You can just watch it. So anyway, without any further ado, let's hear what the bass track of the week is.
My bass track of the week is Diamonds on the Soles of Her Shoes by Paul Simon, with Bakithi Kumalo on bass. It's a slick, fretless line, good groove, and there's a couple fills in there that are a nightmare to play.
And this is a song that I am not familiar with, so I'm already, here we are, the very first episode, and I'm getting a bass lesson right away. So I look forward to tracking that song down and hooking it up to this episode and giving it a listen and seeing what it's all about. So maybe I may have heard it before and just not know what the title is. So I'll let you know.
It's from the Graceland album. It's a good tune.
Yeah. So that bass player played on the entire album, I take it, or yeah.
You Can Call Me Al, and that also has a killer.
Yeah, I've heard.
Don't get me started, or I'll give you like 18 tracks per week. That's just.
We'll try to keep it to one for now.
Try to keep it to one.
I don't know. I guess we could maybe do a bass. I don't know if we'll do a bass of the week or not, but I know I'd like to. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be including quotes as well, and I guess if we ever. I don't know if we've got any more musician jokes left or not. I used up pretty much most of the ones I know. But if we hear any more good ones, we'll share them here.
For sure.
Okay, well, I guess that's a wrap for episode 1. And so if you're watching this, and thanks for watching. And if you have any questions or comments or ideas for us on topics to talk about, there's a whole slew of things to talk about in the bass world, and we'll get to them one at a time. And or even if you yourself are a bass player and you'd like to come on the show and you think you have something pretty interesting to talk about, then we'll we'll look into it and see if we can get you on the show as well. See if we can make the schedule work. We're kind of doing this a little bit late right now, but so depending on where you are in the world, maybe this will work for you, or maybe it won't. We'll see. But it's all fair game, and we'll see what happens. So
Sounds good.
that's it for tonight. We'll wrap this up, and thanks for watching, and much more to come. There's all kinds of I think we'll definitely do an episode on learning to play bass or bass lessons, and I'm sure we're going to have to deal with things like the endless debate of playing with a pick versus fingers, and what other kind of stuff, what other kind of age-old topics are, tube amps versus solid-state amps, or the new speaker types versus the old speaker types. I don't know. I mean, that's all gear related, but I'm sure there's lots of other stuff we can talk about too. Fan frets, our fan frets.
I still can't figure that one out.
No, I know. I've never actually played them, but they look very
cool.
Interesting.
Looks cool.
Looks cool. Looks messed up too.
Yeah, that's true.
So anyway, there's a lot more coming your way, and we look forward to sharing all this stuff with you. And that's about it for tonight. So thanks for watching, and we'll be doing the plan is to do one of these once a week, and see you here every week, and give you some good bass tips and get you thinking about the bass and all that cool stuff. So that's it for me.
Thank you for watching. We'll see you next week.
All right. Catch you later.